On The Real Story, it's Sunday, and that means there's a lot of football underway, especially tonight. Tom Brady back in New England, the Bucs versus the Patriots. And this weekend is a little bit different here in Connecticut. That's because if you want to bet on any of those games, especially the big one happening at Gillette tonight, well, you can legally. Sports betting underway in our state. So what can you expect? And if you want to bet today, how does this work? Joining us this morning is Governor Lamont's Chief of Staff, Paul Mounds, who was intricate in the planning and negotiation of this deal with Connecticut's federally recognized tribes and with the Connecticut Lottery. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. Thanks for having me on.
All right, we are glad to have you. So, someone wants to bet today. It's important to note that this is kind of, I don't want to call it a soft launch, but you're building up to getting online gaming and sports betting fully working here in the state. So if someone wanted to bet today, where can they do it?
If they want to bet today, they can go to the two tribal nations. They can go to Mohegan Sun, or they can go to Foxwoods. Both of them through their partners, FanDuel with Mohegan Sun and DraftKings with Foxwoods, are up and running. The governor was happy to be there to make the first bets at both of those facilities. And if you want to make that bet for this Sunday for the big games, particularly the Brady versus the Patriots, you can go to those facilities.
So we're starting it out where it's really in-person sports betting right now.
Correct. And the next launch that we're going to see is we're going to see a few facilities under the Connecticut Lottery and their partnership with Sports Tech that will also start up this week, and then eventually, as we go through all of the licensing that needs to be done by all three providers to the Department of Consumer Protection, we can be able to start a soft launch. We are optimistic that we'll be able to get that going in the coming days and weeks.
Okay, so in terms of timeline, right now, from what you just said, it sounds like Connecticut Lottery with their retail locations, they're allowed to operate up to 15 retail locations in the state. I think they're pairing with Sport Tech, from what I was reading, and you're saying that those in-person betting, sports betting, will start to be up and running, and you're saying maybe this week.
Yeah, for those facilities under the Connecticut Lottery, their partner Rush Street and with Sports Tech, they're going to start off with right now looking like 3 facilities with the 2 Bobby V locations and then another facility that will be named going forward. So they're going to start with their 3, building up to many more under their Sports Tech partnership under the Connecticut Lottery. We feel that starting off with the brick and mortar, you're able to really get that up and going. People need to understand for online, there's a lot of elements that have to be taken into account. For example, you have to make sure that someone is actually making a bet within the state of Connecticut, not in Sturbridge, Massachusetts, not in Rye, New York, in Connecticut for Connecticut best sports betting. So you have to make sure there's appropriate geo-tracking that needs to be done by all of the facilities.
Interesting. All right, so a lot of people wondering when they can start doing sports betting and online gaming, meaning when can they use their phone to do all of this?
We're looking for sometime this month, and we're working very hard in the Department of Consumer Protection to make that happen. Like I said, we've moved at a faster pace that we've seen in any other state, much faster than New Hampshire, much faster than Rhode Island, much faster than other states that are now trying to come online, Michigan, Arizona, and others. The Connecticut has been a leader so far, but remember, the legislation only passed in the spring, and all the partners, the operators, and the state are working together to make sure that by the end of October, you'll be able to use your phone thoroughly to be able to participate in sports betting.
You know, it's so interesting. I was in New York State at one point this summer, went up to Saratoga Springs. So I had gone to college kind of in that area. And horse racing is huge, obviously, there. Went to the track for the day. And it's funny because I went to college in that area to now see everyone betting on their phones. They have the Naira app and they're all, you know, at the track, but they're using their phones. And it seemed so foreign to me that they would use that.
No, well, the market has changed completely, very thoroughly. No more than about 10 years ago, you can only make a true sports bet in Las Vegas. And now you have multiple states who are now participating, and then the technology has changed overall. You can be able to just pick up your phone and make a bet. But the one thing that we've also focused on here in the state of Connecticut is problem gaming and making sure that we have all of the elements put into place within our regulatory function, as well as ensuring that people have the ability to self-disclose themselves to not be marketed for sports betting if they feel that they are not the appropriate individual to participate. That has always been the Connecticut model, that you can be able to participate, but also making sure you're doing it in a safe manner.
Yeah, the funding that's coming in from this, I mean, this is going to be pretty lucrative for the state of Connecticut. Some of that money, it sounds like, is going to help with addiction programs, et cetera, or in that direction. Where else is this money allocated for?
Right now, sports gaming goes into the general fund, with portions of those funds going directly to problem gaming programs and problem gaming organizations who will be doing effective marketing about I would say making sure that individuals are able to do it safely and also understanding about sports betting. But overall, right now, the majority of those funds go into the general fund. And we have to always remind people, what is the general fund? The general fund helps support education, helps support health and human services, our nonprofits. That is the funding base that supports all of the related work of all of our agencies to support the people of Connecticut.
All right, I want to switch the topic because this came out last week, and it's going to be a big deal come tomorrow, which is Monday. Governor Lamont had directed state agencies to prepare for staffing shortages, and that's because of the vaccine mandate that's in place for state employees. State employees have until Monday, tomorrow, at the stroke of midnight, to show proof that they've had their vaccines or that they'll go and do weekly testing. So they have the option there. Most state employees have that option. I think healthcare employees don't have that option. But you know, starting on Thursday, you had some 8,000 people that were non-compliant. You know, tell me what you're expecting here. Yeah,
and I would also say that we had the vast majority of state employees who did make sure that they were compliant, and we thank them very much for making sure of that. But also understanding when individuals are putting their information on through electronic apps, you got to make sure that they're doing it appropriately. So we have seen a lot of individuals under this in the state of Connecticut workforce who thought that they put forth their compliance and it didn't come out correctly, whether they put their wrong employee number or didn't finish the whole program. So we're fixing that by making sure that every individual who wasn't compliant last week would receive a direct message to make sure that they become compliant. And we've seen the vast majority of individuals come into place to make sure that they're under compliance. With that said, we have a responsibility to the people of Connecticut to make sure that we're prepared to make sure our agencies are running just like they were running during COVID, and we prepared accordingly to make sure that was occurring. So we have asked every agency to provide contingency plans if they weren't going to see any improvements of their compliance of their agencies, or if they had a certain amount of improvements. And we are going to be thoroughly going through those contingency plans, and we'll be ready come tomorrow if there's the situation where we've seen that there are agencies and particular work functions that do not have enough individuals who are compliant under the governor's executive order to ensure the overall safety of the workforce. I know the governor also asked the Connecticut National Guard to be activated. Tell me what we're thinking along those lines. How would they be stepping in? That was just part of our overall contingency plan. General Yvonne in Connecticut's team, as we like to call the National Guard, is always ready to support the people of Connecticut. So we are, and upon us looking at our contingency plans, if there's an area in which the National Guard can provide support, the governor is ready to call the National Guard under the leadership of General Yvonne to support our related agencies and our state functions, because we have a responsibility to the people of Connecticut to make sure that government is continuously running. But we are very confident that the state employees and the state workforce will be under compliance. But in those areas where we see that there's a shortage, we will be ready because the state will always be ready. Is there a particular agency that you're seeing the most? I mean, is there a certain area that you're looking at and you're very concerned about the possibility of staffing shortages come Tuesday morning? I would say that there's agencies that when it comes to contingency plans that we are always of high alert about, any of the ones in our direct health support systems, Department of Corrections. But we have, as we have gone through the contingency plans and we're waiting to see the rest of the compliance for the rest of today, we feel confident that we will be ready, whether we are at full compliance in our agencies or if we're a little below. We will have plans in place to make sure that we're still providing the necessary services to the people of Connecticut.
Now, that number on Thursday of some 8,000 employees who were non-compliant, you were just saying before that that number could be off because people might have possibly thought they had submitted their information and might have done it incorrectly. Is that what you were saying before?
Yeah, so when that number on Thursday that you utilize of 8,000, 2 days before that, it was at 10,000. So when those direct outreaches were happening, we have seen that individuals immediately modified and fixed the problem. Or if they didn't see the original message and didn't go through the program, they went ahead and did it. And we thank them. And that just shows the overall initiative of the members of the state workforce. So we're going to see that number drop more from that 8,000. But with that said, we will stand ready to make sure state government and all the related functions that we are responsible of for the people of Connecticut is able to go forward based upon if there's any issues that come about that we need to activate contingency plans.
All right, Governor Lamont's Chief of Staff, Paul Mounds, pleasure to have you on. Thanks for joining us and talking about gambling, sports betting, and exciting weekend here in Connecticut, as well as this looming deadline tomorrow night. Keep us updated.
Will do, Jen. Thanks for always having me.